Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm trying to get this thing adjusted. So hold on just a moment while I play around with this, right? Okay, so let's see. That's not well. We'll get it figured out. Don't worry about it. So, good morning. I wanted to we've been talking about divorce, and I wanted this morning to kind of put it all together into a process for you. Okay. I wanted to kind of combine everything that we've been talking about so that you can have a full process, and you can go back and watch this as much as you want, to help you overcome divorce, because it is a process, right? Notice that I have right here, mindset is key. Yeah, let's turn that around just a little bit. So mindset is key. So I need you to understand that, because everything starts with how you think. When you got married, you had these ideas of what marriage was going to be like. You had these ideas of, happily ever after and soulmates. And, my parents didn't ever divorce, and therefore I should not ever get a divorce. Or my parents went through a divorce, and I will never do that to my kids again. And so you have all these different thoughts and ideas of what marriage is supposed to be like. And guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anyone ever has in their mind that they're going to go through a divorce, or that divorce is normal, right? So I want you to really spend time getting your mind right, because if you don't, you will go through the cycle again. And that's what we want to avoid, right? We don't want to go through this whole thing another time. I can tell you that some of the things that I've gone through, I had to really learn this idea of mindset. And mindset is a new concept in a sense, right? It's a new click word, right? But it's kind of been around for a while. We just didn't know what to call it, I guess. It wasn't popular at a point in time. But what I also need you to understand is your mindset has to do with how you grew up and the messages that you received over and over and over. And the longer that you're married, the more that plays into your mindset. Okay? So that's important to understand. So I'm going to kind of work backwards from where we had started. So yesterday I talked about mindset. So I'm going to actually hold this. So we talked about mindset, and today I'm starting with mindset because I think it's most important. And then we have the 9 ways to cope with grief, right? So let me kind of come this way so that you guys can see that really clearly. All right, perfect. All right, so the first one is to allow grief, right? So when we're allowing grief, you have to understand that it goes back to the 5 stages of grief, right? Which are the denial, right? You got anger, you have bargaining, depression, and you have acceptance. So let's talk about each of those just a little bit today. So when we have denial, right? Denial is about not wanting to believe that this is actually happening to you. Sometimes it's even, I'm sorry, someone's texting me, and it's distracting me. So, we're live, so this is real life. But denial is not wanting to believe that it's actually happening to you, that you don't want to believe that it is going to happen to you. It's in that phase sometimes when you're separated from that person and you're really, really trying to work things out. And in the back of your mind, something is saying this is not going to work, but you really want it to work, right? And so you still are having maybe this on and off again relationship. The worst that I've seen with denial is when someone has actually gone through a divorce from that person, and then they remarry again. And I've known clients that did this, and they remarry a second time to that same person, only to have the same results, right? That's a huge form of denial, because you don't want to believe that there were really problems in this relationship, and the problems haven't even been fixed, right? And then, of course, we have anger. And that's when you're just angry at the world. You're angry at yourself. You feel like a failure. You're angry at your spouse because you feel like they did something, or you did something, or God did something, or their family members did something. Somebody caused your divorce. Somebody caused all the problems in your relationship. And sometimes that might be true. We know we have meddling in-laws sometimes, right? We have all kind of things going on that can add to the problems in your relationship. Maybe it's financial stress, right? And you're angry that your spouse lost their job, and when he lost his job, he became a different person. And when he became a different person, you didn't know how to relate to that anymore. Or maybe he started using drugs or alcohol or whatever it may be. And all of that started when he lost that big job, right? And so you're angry about that. But I can tell you that you can't stay stuck in anger. I don't care whose fault it is. You can't stay stuck in that same relationship or in that same mindset of anger. Then you kind of move into bargaining. Well, if I do this, maybe it'll be better. If I, help him through the situation, maybe we can really be together. Because here's the reality. You love this person and he loves you, right? And that love didn't go away just because there were problems in the relationship. So you have to kind of get through that. And then we have, of course, depression, right? Depression is when is right when the reality is starting to set in that this is not going to work. This is not going to happen. And you start to, I see Yolanda has posted something here that says, I did the second marriage to the same person. I hope it worked out for you. I don't know if it did or didn't. Maybe that person had a major wake up call in their life and some things were changed. I'm not saying, guys, that you can't marry the second person. Maybe some things can really change in that relationship and change with the person so that maybe you can marry the person a second time, right? So thank you, Yolanda, for sharing that. And then it gets into acceptance, right? Where you finally are ready to say, okay, I'm embracing this. I'm not holding on to the anger anymore. I'm not depressed about it. I accept it. This is going to be a tough process, but I am going to get through it, and you accept it and you overcome it, right? So we had the 9 tips, and we were actually in the middle of the 9 tips. So let me turn this for just a moment or bring it over here. So we are right now prioritized, right? So what I want you guys to realize is that when you are setting your priorities, right, in this relationship, then you want to be able to know what's important for you, right? That life is going to go on, that there are things that you have to do. You have chores that you have to do. You might have to go out and find a new place to live. You might have to go and get a job or a better job or a second job to support yourself. But life is going to go on. You still have things to do in your life, like go to work every day. So you can't just stay in that grief. When you're allowing the grief to happen, everyone grieves in a different way and everyone grieves in a different amount of time. And so while you're grieving, you still have to go on with life. I think the best example I have is cancer. I was visiting a friend over the weekend who is suffering with cancer, and she's laying in the hospital bed and she's in a lot of pain, and they're trying to make her feel more comfortable. And her daughter says, "Mom, can I go to the homecoming dance this Friday, or Saturday. And mom's like, what? And she's having to talk to her daughters about normal life, and her husband is having to still wash clothes and get the kids off to school, and life goes on, right? And it's the same thing when you're going through a divorce. Your kids still need you to do things for them. If you have kids, you still have a life, and so that's a priority. Okay. So I need you guys to understand that. I want to give you time to grieve, but I also want you to understand that life does go on, and there are things that you still have to do. All right, so I'm going to turn this again. So number 3, if you can see right there, is putting things away. And what do we mean by putting things away? Well, the wedding pictures might be a good idea to put away. Maybe that favorite t-shirt that he gave you, you might want to just put that away. And I'm not saying destroy them. I'm not saying burn them. I'm not saying, dispose of them or throw them away. But at least for now, just lock them up. Maybe put them in a chest somewhere. Because what I do want you to recognize is that this was a part of your life, and we don't want to get rid of a part of our life. And I also, and this might sound a little crazy, but you love this person. This person loved you. And just because it didn't work doesn't mean that the love stops. Hopefully you can get to a point where you can still love that person and know that you can't be with that person, that whatever was going on, this doesn't allow you to be with that person, right? So I want you to also start living single. Putting things away could also mean, guys, that, maybe his best friend was also close to you, but you can't be best friends or close to that person anymore. Not right now, right? You have to separate that, because you have to go on with your life, and you have to start being single again. Yolanda is posting again. Oh, she said, no, it got worse. Oh, I'm so sorry. And she's happily divorced from him now, remarried. He remarried. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that you guys still speak. Okay. All right. Bless. Awesome sauce. So Yolanda's like kind of engaging. And so I'm following, and I want you guys to hear what she's saying. So anyway, so you want to start also, guys, paying your own bills, right? That's important. So many people, and this is the thing nowadays, where you're divorced or separated and you're still living in the same house. That's not putting things away. That you're still sharing some of the bills. That's not putting things away. Let's start taking care of yourself and doing things for yourself as soon as you can, right? And so, let's see, we're on number 4 now. Talk to someone. Yes. Church, friends. Guys, be careful who you talk to. I want you to make sure that you're talking to someone that is going to actually support you, right? Stay away from the negative friends. Stay away from those who are, girl, he was, all that negative chit chat. You want someone who is actually going to support you and be there for you and uplift you and be positive with you. Someone who's going to say, yeah, that really sucked. Yeah, he had some problems. You did too, by the way. And hopefully you're going to be able to work through that and become a better person because of what you've experienced, right? So you want to talk to church members, maybe join a support group. I know that when I went through my divorce, I actually was in a support group at a different church, not my church, a different church. There was one for me and there was one for my kids. And it was refreshing to hear that other people go through this, right? And that other people were having the same feelings as me. And guys, by the way, I had a degree in psychology when I went through this. but I still needed to talk to someone. And then I even went to individual therapy. That was important for me as well because I needed to know more about me. I realized that I was functioning as though, although I was an adult, I was functioning probably more like a teenager, and I needed to grow up. And I needed to let go of a lot of baggage that I had. And so individual therapy was a savior for me. It helped me to grow up. So I want you guys to know that you want to be able to talk to someone. And then you want to, and I'm going to turn this again, you want to be able to, number 5, support yourself. Well, Terry, what do you mean by support yourself? What I mean by that is you want to be able to nurture yourself and love yourself, right? That's so important to be able to do things for yourself. For example, exercising. And I'm going to say this multiple times, but I love to exercise. Lifting weights. And I don't lift weights as much anymore now. I'm really into running. So I remember when I went through my divorce, that was one of my new interests that we'll talk about in a little bit. But I actually started exercising. And I started like lifting weights, and I got really bulked, and I felt so good about myself. And it just, when you exercise, it releases these endorphins in your brain, and it's like the happy pill without the pill. And it just made me feel happy and more energetic, and I had more energy to do things with my kids. But it was refreshing to be out and exercising. And it cleared my mind. When I run, I like to run 10 miles. I can't do that every day, but I love to run 10 miles because the first 3 miles, I'm still thinking about all the things I got to do and what happened and processing different things. But when I get into mile 5, my brain just goes boop and it's off. And I'm just in my pace and I'm in my rhythm. And when I finish that, I'm so clear and I'm so focused. So you want to take care of yourself. You want to eat healthy, right? So that you're taking care of your body. You're loving your body by eating right. You want to do those kind of activities. And I'm looking here. Sleep. Wow. I know some of you out there going, sleep. When do I get to sleep? I don't get enough sleep. Yes, you have to get at least 8 hours of sleep so that you can function in life, so that you can be available for yourself, your employer, your kids, whoever that may be. So take care of yourself and support yourself. All right. So we're going to go into number 6, which is distract yourself in a healthy way. What do I mean by distract yourself? Again, exercise might be one of those things that you do to distract yourself from, the stress of going through a divorce. This is, we're talking about the 9 ways to cope with divorce. So yeah, you want to have some healthy distractions. Maybe watch a little TV. I love football. So I'm going to watch football, and that's going to distract me, right? In a healthy way. But I'm not going to binge watch on the couch 9 hours of TV, guys. Come on. We can't do that. Maybe pick up a book that's a self-help book and read that book. I'm going to try at some point in time to put together a book list for you guys because there's some awesome books. I read probably 2-3 books a month. Anything from business practices. I read a lot about spirituality. And I read a lot about self-help, of how to take care of myself, how to be a better person, right? So I want you guys to be able to do that as well. So when you are distracting yourself, organize your house, clean the house. That might be a good idea. Rearrange furniture. There is something that you always wanted to do but didn't do because he didn't want to do it. So yes, exactly, Yolanda. Keep your mind busy, right? So distract yourself in a healthy way. And then we have number 7, relaxation, right? So I'm going to keep doing this because I want you guys to be able to see that and be able maybe to take some notes. So relaxation. This is where you're doing the yoga classes, where you're exercising again, where you're doing meditation. I don't know if you guys believe in meditation. People have different ideas about it. I've been to the Buddhist temple. I go there sometimes just to meditate, but I also go to the Catholic Church and meditate there as well. It doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are. Meditation is a way to stop the mind. So we talked about distracting the mind, but there's also a time when you have to just meditate. Exactly, Yolanda. Just meditate and clear the mind. Because when you clear the mind, then your inner voice comes out and you can hear what you need to do. It can be your guide. Your inner voice is your guide to a healthy living, to having more peace in your life. So number 8, we're going to say explore new interests, right? So explore new interests. I just said to you guys a few minutes ago that when I went through my divorce, that I did explore the new interest of working out. And that was actually phenomenal because I really got into weightlifting. And so I got to meet a lot of people. Matter of fact, one of the girls that I met while going through this is still a very, very good friend of mine to this day. A lot of the males that I met are also still very good friends of mine today. Some people say the gym could be a meat market. I didn't view it that way. I wasn't there for that reason. I was there to improve me. And so I developed a lot of good friendships out of that. And so I'm very grateful for it. But I also got this awesome, phenomenal body. I don't know what happened to it in the last 10 years, but but yes, I think I hit menopause or something. So, but I was working out and it felt good. I felt good about me. So it was a new interest for me. It was something that I always wanted to do, but for some reason, never had time to do. Well, all of a sudden I had time. And so it was great. So you guys should explore new interests. I have a friend of mine who explored the new interest of learning more about wine. And she started taking these wine classes. And she just went there because she liked wine. She wanted to learn more about it. She wanted to learn more about the pairing of it. And she met this guy. And she was like, well, yeah, he's asked me out. I don't know. He's not really my type. And guess what? They got married. So another new interest that led to something great, right? So the last one, guys, is avoiding. All right. So can you see that? I don't know if y'all can see that because Yolanda has her text on there. And I'm hoping that you guys can see all that. So the last one, though, is avoid dangerous behaviors. Avoid dangerous behaviors. What do I mean by that? No drugs. Don't turn to drugs. Whether it's legal or prescribed or illegal drugs. I know some of you might be so depressed that you feel like you need to be on medication. I understand that. Try these 9 ways of coping with divorce first. And if you can't get through it, then absolutely. Go ahead and get something maybe for 3-6 months, right? And know that it's not a long-term solution. Medication is not a long-term solution just for depression. We want to be able to get you over that hurdle, right? So let's avoid that. Let's avoid the 1-2 glasses of wine every night. Let's do some other things that are more healthy things that we've already discussed, like the exercising and the yoga classes and the meditation. Here's one, and excuse me, I'm sorry. Hold on one second, guys, before I say this major one. So, don't rush into another relationship. Don't go out there because now you have this new you and this new attitude and you're feeling yourself, right? And so you're looking good, you're feeling good, and you meet this great guy while you're at the sports bar, and before you know it, you've moved him into your house, or he's there every day. And your kids are kind of looking at you, or even if you don't have kids, your friends are going, okay. And nobody wants to say anything because they want you to be happy, and you are happy. That's the weird thing. It's like you've met this new person, and they've made you so happy because they're giving you something that your spouse didn't give you for a while. But guess what? It's a new relationship. And your spouse gave you those same things at the beginning of the relationship, right? So, be careful and take your time going into a new relationship. You want to avoid being impulsive, impulsive actions, impulsive buys, impulsive things. You want to avoid making quick decisions, or unhealthy decisions. I'm going to go out and buy this new fancy car that you can't afford. That's an example, right? Of making a poor decision. You want to avoid stalking them. Ooh, especially on Facebook. Ooh, I heard he's dating this girl. And before you know it, you're typing in her name on Facebook because it's so easy to do nowadays, right? So I want you to avoid the stalking thing. And avoid taking revenge. We're so angry sometimes that we want them to hurt as much as we hurt, but you're only hurting yourself. When you stay involved in revenge and anger, you're only hurting yourself, guys. And if you have kids, please avoid putting them in the middle of all the conflict. Let's keep them away from the drama. Let's keep them away from being the bargaining chip in between. Yes, your kids need to know some things. Yes, your kids need to know. This is very difficult, and this is where probably you need to process this with somebody in more detail about exactly how much you need to tell your children. Of course, it depends on how old they are. It depends on your motivation for telling them. If you're telling them because you want them to not like their dad anymore, you're playing a losing game. If you're telling them because you just want them to have the information and the facts, then that might be somewhat different. So just be aware of that. So I hope today that I've gone through this in great detail. I hope we spent a lot of time on it this morning. I don't know exactly how long now I've been talking, but I know it's been a while. But I wanted you to understand the process of overcoming divorce. I don't know if anyone has ever talked to you in those terms before, but I'm a process person. I'm a systems person. Those of you who work in certain environments might understand that when you have a system in place and you know what that system is, you can go through it and be able to be successful. And then you can help other people with that system as well, right? So this is a process, a system of overcoming divorce. And we actually have a blog called The 9 Ways to Cope with Divorce that was actually written by one of our therapists, Saba Ali. Hopefully we'll have that posted by today. So she's an awesome therapist, by the way. We want you guys to have all this information in written form. Maybe you're at work right now and you can't really focus on what I'm saying. It's early in the morning. I know that because I have to also go to work this morning. So I needed to do this early. But we have this written out so that you can have this material, so that you can have the tools that it takes to overcome divorce and be successful in all of your relationships and be successful in life. So thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to go off now so that I can go and do my job. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.